Hey, it's djkanoya, DJ, business coach, and idea sharer. And in this video, I want to talk about external mixers and why I have one at almost every one of my events. There are three reasons why I bring an external mixer to my events, and that includes input flexibility, output flexibility, and ultimately just a better sound output. I also have like a little honorable mention. We'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But let's start with input flexibility. Now, when we're talking about input flexibility, it's kind of like, what does that even mean? Well, what it ultimately means is that I just have more options when it comes to the sources that I'm putting in to the mixer and then eventually putting out into my speakers. So for the longest time, I used, well, first of all, when I started out DJing, I was using a CD Mix 2, if you can believe that. And I think that only had like one like auxiliary, like RCA input. I then graduated like many other DJs. I was using like the 19-inch rack mount mixer. Controllers these days and even 19-inch rack mount mixers can accommodate a lot of additional inputs, but it still isn't going to compare to what you've got in something like this. And it's going to really come into handy when you talk about your auxiliary output flexibility, which I'll get into in that second part. With a controller, you'll have at most 2 microphone inputs. You'll definitely, at the very least, you have 2 music source inputs. You tend to have 4 in many cases, and then sometimes there's an auxiliary input. But when we're looking at a live mixer, something that really was meant for live sound, where this helps with DJing is that not only do I have my 2 microphone inputs, but now I have the flexibility to add additional microphones if needed. So it could just be a wired microphone that maybe I want to just use in my booth. I could have a performer that's performing the first dance, and maybe it's a duo. So it's a singer and a guitarist, so they can plug into it. And where all of this starts to really be helpful, and where a DJ mixer or a controller would really not be able to do this, at least most of them, is then control where and when you're going to release the sound or output the sound. There is an immense amount of output flexibility when you start using a machine like this. This particular mixer, the Touchmix 8, has 4 auxiliary outputs, and you can see them listed right in here, and they're all XLR outputs. So you've got your main, right, and left, and with the 4 aux outputs, gives me the ability to control the amount of signal that are going to all of those outputs, but also which of the input channels that are going into the mixer. I can choose what of those input channels I want to go to the various aux outputs. Now let me give you an example of this. The videographer, when they connect to my system, the main reason they want it is to capture any speech audio onto video, and having a direct feed from the source is the perfect scenario for them to capture the first quality perfect audio. In traditional analog or even the DJ controller situations, everything that's going through the booth output, everything that's going through like that RCA output is everything that's into the mixer. There's no control over, oh, I only want the microphones to go to here, or I only want the music. You can't control that on any traditional mixer. But with a live audio mixer, you have the ability to say, within my 8 outputs, I only want channels 1 and 4 to go to auxiliary 1. Before I get to the third reason that I use an external mixer, I'm going to give kind of an honorable mention. And the reason this is honorable mention is because it's not necessarily a feature that's available across all mixers, and I'm talking about portability. And I don't mean portability because this isn't exactly something you can throw in your pocket. This is, I guess. Portability when it comes to digital mixers is something that's pretty amazing because nearly, I would say at this point, 100% of digital mixers utilize tablets, your iPad, your phone. There's some kind of app-based program that's going to allow you to control this piece of hardware from a different device, and a different wireless device. Now this is not something that you're obviously going to be able to do with this. It's just analog, and you can only do so much with it. So having the ability to take your tablet, go into the middle of the room with your microphone and do your sound checks and adjust your volume, set your gains. It's amazing. It's like being your own live sound engineer when you are just sort of this one-man band. All right, so let's go to point number 3, and that is just overall sound quality and the ability to improve the sound with an external mixer. With a digital mixer, I mean, you're working with a piece of equipment that has been developed by sound engineers and has been meant to be used for live sound applications for numerous types of other pieces of gear, including just numerous types of microphones and guitars and keyboards. The software that's built into this was specifically designed for top quality sound, and it's just sometimes it's a shame when we spend thousands of dollars on really high quality speakers, but what we're feeding into it is just the somewhat subpar audio quality that are coming from your standard DJ mixer. So that's a look and an overview of why I use an external mixer at nearly all of my events. If you use a mixer, please comment below. Tell me which one you use. Do you use a QSC Touchmix? Maybe you use a Behringer? Maybe you use one of the other digital mixers. Would love to hear how you apply this great tool to your events. Also, please like and subscribe to the channel. Love making these videos and not only helping other people, but just kind of telling people how I do things, and maybe you could pick up on a few tips to implement in your own setups and in your own business. Once again, I am DJ Justin Kanoya, and I will see you next time online.